Hi, my name is Kelsie. I'm a trainer for the Broadloom Business Management software, and today we're going to be talking about associated products. Associated products are a great tool that can be used to save you a lot of time during the quote and order entry process. I'll go ahead and share my screen here and show you how it works. So I have a brand new quote pulled up here, and typically what I would do is come down to find and add line items, look through my catalog, and start adding items into my quote. I would maybe do this one by one. So I'd go and find, for example, a tile in here. I'd find my tile and I'd add it to my quote. Then I would come back and I would go look for my next item. Maybe it's thin set. I'd go into my catalog, I'd find the thin set and add it into my quote. Then I'd go do the same for grout. I'd find it and add it. And then the same thing for my labor. I'd find it and I'd add it. What Associated Products does is help save time and helping you group together items that are typically affiliated together so that when you sell one of them, you're going to have the others pop right up on a nice convenient screen for you and save you time from having to go dig through your catalog for that exact item and having to continue adding it into the quote one by one. It's also going to help make sure that you're not forgetting things that typically need to be affiliated together in order to properly quote or create an order. I'll go ahead and show you an example of this. I'll use that tile again. So I'll come down to find and add line items. And I'll add tile into my quote here. I'll add the specific subway tile. And I'll get this nice pop-up called Associated Products. This is going to have a variety of some different products on it. Starting from the bottom here, I have delivery. So delivery is one thing that I have added into my associated products because it's something that I need to make sure I'm putting on all of my orders, but it's something I'm typically forgetting. So I already have it selected in here for me. So all I'd have to do is hit continue and it would be added into my quote. I won't need to go into my catalog and look through my labor list and find this and add it. It's already right here for me. I also have ceramic wall labor here, thin set, premixed grout. These are all associated with tile in general. So every time I sell any tile in my system, these things are going to pop up and remind me that I may want to add them in. This white jolly, however, is a very specific jolly. It's associated with this very specific tile. This way I don't have to go into my catalog, try to find the right jolly, maybe make a mistake in selecting the wrong jolly. It's all right here, so I know that this is accurate and it saves me time from having to go look for it. So for this example, I'll say I want to go ahead and add that jolly in here. I want to go ahead and add in my grout, my thin set, and my ceramic wall labor. And to select these, I'm simply clicking in this column here. To unselect, I could just double click to unselect. I can also adjust the quantity as needed. For example, I have ceramic wall labor here. And quantity is something that can be auto-computed. I'll show you an example of that later on. So I'll go ahead and put in my quantity here. And if I need to make an adjustment on my price, I can do that as well, just by double clicking and then typing in the price I'd like to use. Once I have everything selected that I would like to add into my quote or order, I'll hit continue. And it's added right in for me, saving me time again from having to go and look for it in my catalog and adding it one by one. Now I'm going to go through the details of associated products with you, while also showing you how setup is done. The first step in setup is going into an items catalog page. So I'll go ahead and select my item from a quote or an order here, and then right click on it and go to view catalog item. Or I can go into my master menu, into inventory control, and into catalog maintenance. From here, I'll find the item I'm wanting to associate. For this example, I want to associate pad with carpet. Then I'm going to do what's called a mass association, meaning I'm going to associate my pad with all carpets and not one specific style. So I'm going to find the pad, select the style and color, and I'm brought to the pad catalog page. Then I'm going to come over here to the right into the associated products tab. And then I'll come down here to mass association. Because I'm associating this with an entire broad category of material instead of one specific material, it's called a mass association. For this example, I'm associating it with all carpet. You can see this is a pad I have selected here. Next, I'm going to select my product type. For this example, carpet. If I wanted to be more specific about this, I have some ways I could do that. I could select a specific vendor or a specific product code. or I can even choose to affiliate this association with a certain customer or property manager. Then down here, these tools are going to determine how this is popping up on that associated products page. I'm going to select this to make sure that it's on that page. This is what's going to prompt it to be on that pop-up when I'm adding it into my quote or order. Then I'm going to select this to automatically select in the quote or order. So it's going to be selected, that Y is going to appear. All I need to do is hit continue and it'll be added into my quote. I'm also going to select a default quantity. You'll want to be a little bit careful with this. Once you select default quantity, you have these options on how you want this quantity to calculate. In this case, I'm going to use quantity per sale unit of measure. That's because I'm dealing with roll goods, and my sale unit of measure is going to be my square yards or my square feet as opposed to my linear feet. Then I'm going to come down here and put the ratio for this in. For example, I want to put in a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning if I sell a square foot of carpet, I'm also going to be selling a square foot of pad. Then I'm going to come down here and hit add. This association has been created. I'll get out of here and show you how this works in my quote. I will go ahead and add a carpet item in here. And once I add it in, here is my associated products pop-up. There is the pad that we just associated with the carpet. It's automatically selected. The quantity is auto-calculated. The system knows the price, and I hit continue. And now this has been added right into my quote for me. For this next example, instead of a mass association, I'm going to do a more specific association. In this example, I'm going to associate an adhesive with a vinyl. So I'm first going to go find that specific vinyl that I'd like the adhesive to be associated with. I'll choose this one here. I'll right click and go to View Catalog Item. I'll go to Associated Products, and I'll come down here to Add Association. Here's that vinyl I have selected. Then I'll go ahead and select the item I want to associate, in this case adhesive. I'll find it in my catalog. I'll select it. You can now see this adhesive is going to be associated with this vinyl. Then I'll come down here. I would like it to automatically prompt, again, meaning it's going to appear in that pop-up associated products screen. If this wasn't selected, you could still see that it's an associated product because when you go into the vinyls catalog page, you can come into the associated products and it will be listed on this screen here. Most of the time you're wanting it to go ahead and pop right up on that screen, so you're going to go ahead and select here. For this example, I would not like it to automatically select, but I would like the quantity to be calculated for me. One really neat thing about associated products is that when you're dealing with products that have a spread rate, for example, an adhesive, you can actually do the math on how much of that gallon of adhesive you're going to use per square foot, and then go ahead and put that ratio in here. So for example, I'll say 0.05. Then I'm going to select my sale unit of measure, meaning I want this to calculate off my sale unit of measure. And so what's going to happen is when I put in my square footage for my vinyl, my system's automatically going to do the math for me and tell me how many buckets of glue I'm going to need for this project. I'm going to come down here and make sure I have the rounding selected to round up, so I'm never short on glue. I might be a little bit extra. Then I'll come in and hit add. My association has been created, and I'll show you how this works. Note that you can see this now appearing on the associated products list in the associated products tab. I'll come into my quote. Here's the vinyl I'd like to add. So I'll go ahead and add the item into my quote. Also, this is a fairly large order. I'll hit close and add it. Here is that adhesive. It's popping up in my associated products tab. It's not automatically selected for me, but here is the quantity. My system has figured out I'm going to need 17 buckets of this. I will go ahead and select it by clicking there, and I'll hit continue. This has now been added into my quote. Another really helpful way to utilize single associations is with transition pieces. So you saw that example of the very specific jolly with the very specific tile earlier in this video. This can also be done with any hard surface item. You can associate all of your transition pieces to the material. you'll see that some of your B2B vendors are already really good about sending over associated materials together. So you'll see that for a lot of your hard surfaces, even if you don't see it on that automatically popped up associated products screen, you can sometimes still view it from the catalog page under the associated products tab, saving you time from having to go back into your catalog and find that transition piece. For this last example, I'm going to show you an example of how we can also associate labor with materials. I'm going to associate delivery and acclimation with my wood category. The reason I'm doing this is because delivery and acclimation is something that I need on all of my wood jobs, but it's something I'm typically forgetting to put into my job. So not only am I going to be saving myself time by not having to look for this item in my catalog, but it's also going to help me make sure I'm more accurate when I'm quoting this out. So I'll come in and find my specific labor item that I'm looking for, delivery and acclimation, and I'll go to the catalog page. I'll again come into Associated Products tab, and I'll come down to Mass Association because I want this to be associated with any time I add wood into my quote or order. I'm going to come into my product type, and I'll select wood. And I do believe that there are some associations that are already affiliated with wood, so you'll see that on the next pop-up screen as well. I do want this to automatically prompt, so I'm going to select this. I do want to automatically select. And this time, my default quantity is simply going to be 1. I want there to be 1 of the delivery and acclimation charges on each order that I am adding my wood into. I'll go ahead and hit add. My association's been created. I'll go ahead and add some wood to this quote and show you what this looks like. I'll grab this wood here. I will add it in. And you'll see I have my associated pop-up screen here. These are the items that were already associated with this. I'm going to go ahead and unselect this. I do not need the flat bar, but you can see that this is automatically selected for me. So again, I'm not forgetting it. I'm automatically going to be reminded I need to put in my delivery. You can see I do not have a price designated for this in my system, so I'll go ahead and put a price in here. And I'll hit continue. And this has now been added into my quote. That's a good example of all of the different types of associated products. One other thing that I do want to point out is that if I come into my associated products, I'll come in here, I'll go into the view catalog item, I'll come over to associated products, I'll hit mass association. It's going to remind me that I already have an association here. I'll come in here, I'll right click and I'll edit. One thing I want to point out is that you do have this item as a substitute option. This can be useful if you ever have situations where you have materials that maybe are typically out of stock or maybe being discontinued in the near future. For example, let's say you guys carry a flat bar and you typically use the pewter color. But in the event that the pewter color is out, gold is your next best option. You may go ahead and put gold in here and you'll see item as a substitute. It's going to pop up on that associated products tab. It's not going to be selected. It's not going to be automatically added into your quote unless you go and specify that you're adding it. But there is a column in there that does designate that it's a substitute and it will have a Y in that column. So if you find yourself needing to help your sales staff out and making sure that they can find those items easily, this can be a really useful tool for that.